What really went down under the basket that night? Sophie Cunningham goes down hard with a torn right MCL. The Fever confirms she's out for the season. Bria Hartley gets caught on camera grinning, and fans are livid, calling it dirty. The refs? Silent. The league? Silent. But Sophie isn't staying silent. Her career takes a brutal hit, but she's coming back swinging. She's calling out the haters, and she's putting the league on blast. No filters. No holding back. And what she just said, it's got everybody talking. If you're riding with Sophie, drop it in the comments. Fired up for Sophie. Fire. The moment that shattered the Fever's season was anything but subtle. Midway through the second quarter against the Connecticut Sun, Bria Hartley drove hard to the rim, lost her balance, and crashed straight into Sophie Cunningham's right leg. Cunningham collapsed instantly, clutching her knee in pain, while the arena fell into stunned silence. Teammates sprinted to her side, and the looks on the Fever bench said it all. This was no ordinary knock. Seconds later, the broadcast caught Hartley with what looked like a smile. That single frame exploded across social media, sparking outrage. Fans questioned how anyone could react like that while an opponent lay seriously hurt. To many, the grin didn't read as shock. It looked like satisfaction. And that image, as much as the collision itself, ignited the firestorm.
Now look, you can tell Bria Hartley, in my opinion, she launched herself into her knee. She did. And I've seen some of the reaction online.
The officials only poured gasoline on the fire. No flagrant, no upgrade, not even a review. The game rolled on as if Sophie Cunningham hadn't just gone down with what would later be confirmed as a season-ending torn MCL.
Sophie announcing her being out with an MCL tear, which, by the way, the MCL tear, relatively speaking, is good news because it's not an ACL tear. She's not out for like a year or anything, but she's out for the rest of this year. And they're going to miss her toughness, they're going to miss her shooting, they're going to miss her playmaking to a degree.
This wasn't just about one play. For many fans, Sophie Cunningham's injury became the breaking point in a larger problem that's been building for years. Physical plays going unchecked, dangerous collisions brushed off until someone finally pays the price. And in Bria Hartley's case, this wasn't her first flashpoint of the season. Put together, the incidents made what happened against Indiana look less like an accident and more like part of a troubling pattern. The outrage didn't fall on Hartley alone. Fans pointed the finger at officiating, and, by extension, the league office under Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. The criticism wasn't new, that WNBA referees lean too heavily on letting them play, and in doing so, leave athletes exposed to unnecessary risk. Cunningham's injury became the perfect storm, the latest painful example critics seized on in their calls for change. For Sophie, the cost couldn't have been higher. A day later, tests confirmed the worst, a torn right MCL, her season officially over. After fighting her way into becoming one of Indiana's most important players, it was gone in an instant, taken out on a play now replayed endlessly across social media. The collision wasn't just an injury. It became a symbol of deeper issues fans say the league continues to ignore. In the immediate aftermath, Sophie stayed silent, still processing the blow. But her family spoke up. Her sister Lindsay fired directly at the WNBA, blasting the officiating and accusing the league of focusing more on finding players than protecting them. The message struck a nerve because it echoed what frustrated fans had already been saying for years. Their mother, Paula, added more fuel in a since-deleted post, calling Hartley reckless and out of control, and suggesting this wasn't the first time she had crossed the line. Together, those raw, unfiltered reactions gave the public a glimpse of the emotions inside Sophie's circle and put fresh pressure back on both referees and league leadership. When Sophie finally broke her silence, her tone caught everyone off guard. Speaking on her podcast, she described the play as she saw it, unfortunate, but not malicious. She admitted she was simply in the wrong spot at the wrong time and called it a basketball play gone wrong. Sophie went even further, making it clear she had nothing but love for Bria Hartley. She reminded listeners that the two were friends and urged fans to stop directing hate toward her. It was a measured, thoughtful response, surprising people almost as much as the collision itself. From someone who had just lost an entire season, her calm perspective stood in sharp contrast to the storm raging online, challenging the narrative that had already taken.
I know Bria, and I'm actually really good friends with Bria, and I have been waiting to get on the pod and so we could talk about this because I did want to tweet it out, but I don't think that there was no ill intent. I think it was basketball play. I was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. She fell. Like, there's no way that she would go in there and potentially try to hurt me. And so I have nothing but love for Bria. And I even told my mom, because she tweeted something. I was like, no, Mom, I get it, but I promise you that I was like, Bria and I are super cool, and she would never try to hurt me, because there are some girls that I think might, but she wouldn't do that. And so I have nothing but love, and so I hope people stop giving Bria some heat, because I don't think she meant to do that at all. Actually, 3 for 3 on being fined by the WNBA.
Holy shit! For this? For the pod? Again?
They didn't like my comments on Paige Becker's.
No way!
I didn't even say anything bad.
On the whistle? On the quick whistle?
Yeah. But why?
But Sophie didn't stop there. In that same podcast, she shifted the conversation to something bigger: accountability. She linked her own injury to what she sees as a wider pattern in the league: refs letting dangerous plays slide while still cracking down on players who dare to speak out. She reminded listeners that she herself had already been fined for past comments about officials and about Paige Buchers. And that, she argued, was the real context behind her family's anger. To them, the league was quick to punish words but slow to protect players' bodies. Then came the post that flipped the tone completely. On social media, Sophie dropped a blunt line that spread like wildfire. Some of us were raised on, don't bite off more than you can chew. And some of us didn't F around and find out. It was short, sharp, and carried an energy miles away from her calm podcast comments. If the podcast showed composure, this post was pure fire. Fans instantly read it as a rallying cry, a declaration that she wasn't broken and she wasn't backing down. The contrast worked in her favor. The podcast proved her integrity and her ability to take the high road, while the post captured the defiance and resilience her supporters love. Together, they painted a fuller picture of Sophie Cunningham, an athlete who balances perspective with passion and who refuses to be defined by victimhood, even in one of the hardest moments of her career. And even with Sophie making it clear she held no grudge against Hartley, the questions didn't go away. Was the collision just bad luck? Or was it part of a bigger issue with Hartley's style of play that the league had ignored for too long? Bria Hartley's name has carried weight this season, and not for the right reasons. Long before Cunningham's knee gave out, fans and analysts were already labeling her one of the WNBA's most reckless players. That reputation wasn't built overnight. It grew from a string of incidents that kept placing her at the center of controversy. The clearest example came in a Sun versus Sky matchup, when Hartley got tangled up with Rebecca Allen. The physical play escalated into a heated skirmish that ended with Hartley, Allen, and Ariel Atkins all ejected. Ejections are rare in the WNBA, which made Hartley's role in the chaos instantly memorable, and not in a good way. Fans didn't just see intensity, they saw a player crossing the line. Then came her clash with Angel Reese. In a scramble for a loose ball, cameras caught Hartley pulling Reese's hair, yanking her off balance. Officials called it a foul, but for fans, the optics told a bigger story. Why was one player pulling another's head in the middle of a game?
And while this
If
controversy
the ejection
swirled,
cemented
Indiana
Hartley's
was forced to
reputation,
stare down another
this
reality.
moment sealed it.
With
Evidence.
Sophie done for the
Many
season
argued
and Caitlin
that her
Clark
game
already
relied
injured,
on physical
how would the
tactics
Fever
that
even
went
begin
well
to fight
beyond
back
hard-nosed
down 21
basketball.
But this action right here, oh, there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
A lot happening. Grab my shirt. I'm feeling the ground.
Gina Charles gets
She didn't hit the court though. She out of bounds.
Ariel Atkins says some words to Bria, and she says she grabbed me first.
Put those moments side by side with clips of Hartley delivering unnecessary shoves and bumps, and a pattern starts to emerge. One that explains why so many were quick to view the Cunningham collision with suspicion. On its own, a messy fall into Sophie's leg could have been dismissed as an unfortunate break in competition. But once fans connected it to the Allen fight and the Reese hair pull, the conversation shifted. This wasn't about a freak accident anymore. It was about a player with a troubling reputation. Within hours, social media erupted with demands for consequences. One fan asked outright why Hartley was still in the WNBA. Another claimed she went straight for her leg. She could have easily avoided Sophie. Whether or not intent can ever be proven, Hartley's history made it easy for thousands to believe that what happened wasn't just bad luck. That track record is why the Hartley-Cunningham collision instantly triggered calls for suspension, outrage toward officials, and renewed demands for legal
This picture is going viral with Bria Hartley with the sinister grin, right? This malevolent look that's on her face right now. Clearly smiling after injuring Sophie Cunningham, man.